Welcome everybody, man. We are really happy to be on another Gettysburg movie set. We're on the Little Round Top set, the stone wall from the movies behind us. And here we are with Colonel Vincent himself, Maxwell Caulfield. How you doing?
So privileged to be here again. And thank you for inviting us for this special occasion, the 30th anniversary of the release of Ron Maxwell's epic film of Gettysburg. To have had a chance to play, as a Brit, to play a genuine American hero is really, words fail me. And to actually be shooting so close to where the man actually was felled. And of course, but also implemented the critical instructions that were the turning point of the Civil War in many historians' view. Am I right in saying that?
A lot of historians feel that way.
Okay, good.
So here, as a Brit, how did you affect such a convincing Pennsylvania accent?
Well, actually, I was very lucky. I'd come to Pennsylvania as a teenager with the 15th Chelsea Boy Scout troop. We did an exchange program with a really fun group of guys from Media, just outside of Philadelphia. And this is when I first fell in love with America and the Keystone State. And I think that's the only thing that qualified me to play this, storied colonel. But, and I'm forgetting, now we're here, I'm forgetting what a tricky day's shooting it was. That pivotal scene that I shot with Jeff Daniels as playing, obviously, Joshua Chamberlain, because of the rake of the land here. I mean, it's one of those things where you think you're on stable ground, but actually you're on a sort of a 45-degree angle all the way up. And I can't imagine how tough it was for the film crew, let alone the boys who actually fought on the day. It really is. It's an absolute kick to come back here, and particularly on such a beautiful day like this. It was a lot hotter than when we shot back in that summer.
Yes, it must have been about August.
Yeah, was it? Yeah.
I can only imagine. Now, speaking of that, so you remember being here and the trick of the land, and imagine during the battle. What else do you remember about the shoot that day or that week?
I do remember the excitement of being surrounded by so many men that were committed to recreating, without the aid of CGI, the new technology that's used to multiply groups of men to make it look like thousands. This really felt like a David Lean film, like Lawrence of Arabia. There were literally thousands of reenactors, men who were committed to the preservation of the memory of America's most tragic war, and also the spirit of it. And so to have them on the scene really made it a lot of fun, because they really looked like Johnny Reb, these guys, and Billy
Yank.
Billy Yank is Billy Yank, which is obviously the team I was on, and probably would have been on, frankly. I've got, like I said, I wasn't on the film long. In fact, I was almost the last guy to rock up on the shooting schedule. Which is why I ended up with a hat that was, I think, a little size too small, frankly. But anyway, I certainly have very fond memories of being here, and actually riding on the horse. Vincent's horse was called Old Jim, and I got to ride up to round up the boys from the 83rd. Pennsylvania and the 20th Maine, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yes.
You know the history of this
Yes.
far better than me, of course. But what I loved was that Ron and Case, the wonderful cinematographer, kept needing me to do it again and again. And hopefully it wasn't nothing to do with my horsemanship. It was more to do with the lining up of the shot and the dispersal of the guys to create the most dramatic effect. But riding up on that steed and genuinely feeling like Colonel Strong Vincent all morning long was just a complete kick.
Good. And did you already know how to ride a horse?
Oh yeah, I think I needed to. It's the old cliche, an actor will say he can do anything until he gets to the set and he can't do it at all. He lies through his back teeth to get the job. No, I was very comfortable on the horse.
Good, good. And while you're here, if you remember, I know you weren't here long, but did the reenactors treat you like Colonel Vincent?
Oh yes, that was another added bonus, because, as I said, their commitment is so sincere. and fulsome that they would respect my rank and the uniform I was wearing. So I mean, they really would. They would. There was a lot of saluting and a lot of. I was accorded a lot of respect, not just because I was a Hollywood big shot. It was something to do with that. It was, these guys were living it, which made my job as an actor that much easier, of course.
Very cool, very cool. So, has this movie proven to be, I don't know, was it different than the other movies you've done in some particular way?
Yes, a lot less time. I was going to say a lot less time in makeup, but that's not true. In fact, because I had to get those chops stuck on, right? The real strong Vincent had an incredibly lustrous pair of sideburns. I mean, almost like all the men in those days, really rather exaggerated. And I remember sitting in the makeup trailer, getting dirtied up, and the sideburns being applied. It was right towards, as I said, I was one of the last to be suited up and put onto the set, inserted into the process. And I think they decided there'd been too much facial hair in the show. There was that the actors were almost getting buried behind their beards and mustaches and stuff. So the guy said, "I'm gonna snip your sideburns back a little bit. They're sort of slightly overwhelming you." And I said, "Yeah, you're right. Mice could live in these sideburns." And he goes, "So let me just give it." And he got a bit carried away, and I ended up looking like Elvis at the Caesar's Palace. No, that's a cheap crack. No. I don't think. Yeah, did he play Caesar's? What was his hotel?
It was one of those. So now we're going to break in a sec, but one more question before we do.
Yeah.
Since the movie, have you ever grown a beard and then just thought, you know what? I'm going to shave my sideburns into a Vincent?
Yes. Anytime I've grown a beard, I'm always always in a rush to lose it. But at the same time, I go, supposing my next part calls for me to play some, deranged biker, bike gang leader or something. So I go, Juliet, my wife, still lives with me, sort of living out some role. And then I go, no, I don't like that. I've got to look like some British colonel now, British general. I'm going to replicate my illustrious father-in-law, Sir John Mills, who played many heroes, military heroes. I'll go with the Johnny Mills look for a week or so and hope the phone rings and it's an appropriate look. And then I just shave it off because the phone doesn't ring at all.
Well, just that this has occurred to you has made my month.
You're too kind, far too kind.
I see your face and some of your lines on T-shirts around Gettysburg during the anniversary. Are you willing to explore some of your lines at all?
Well, the line you're referring to is, now we'll see how professors fight, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
But the one that didn't make it into the movie and was never filmed, it wasn't in the script, was the night before when Colonel Strong Vincent had ridden north towards Gettysburg, knowing about the impending battle. And he said to a staff officer, as the flag of his beloved 83rd Regiment was being unfurled, he said, "What death more glorious can any man desire than to die on the soil of old Pennsylvania, fighting for the glory of that flag."
Beautiful. That was very Vincent.
Okay.
And he ended up fulfilling his prophecy, of course.
Well, indeed, prophetically. Indeed, he was gravely wounded the very next day, standing, I guess, between the 83rd and the 44th New York. They always used to like to fight alongside each other, right?
Yes.
Michigan, the 16th to the far right, and of course Joshua Chamberlain's 20th Maine. And that it was the position I believe he was at, directing traffic, as it were, for lack of a better term, when he did get hit in the groin region, and I think he was taken back behind lines, the front line, and it was quite a anguished death.
Yes.
And he was a young man. He was only 26. I think his wife was pregnant at the time, and I'm sure he had like so many of the men of that period, had a great eloquence, and I'm sure he imparted some some stirring but also comforting words to his soon-to-be widow. And as I say, as an actor, one always feels so privileged to reenact a historic figure. And actually, Strong Vincent in many ways is not given the full credit for his role in the defense of Little Round Top. Joshua Chamberlain, rightfully, obviously did survive that stage of the battle and did incredible heroic work following Vincent's orders to the T, to the letter. But at the same time, you know, certain people end up getting all the glory. And I think it's again, it's nice to be able to talk about Strong Vincent now and ensure that he doesn't disappear into the, you know, into the annals of history and, you know, with unheralded.
Right, and he still stands sentinel. His statue out top the 83rd Pennsylvania Monument and the actual Little Round Top. Could you reflect on why it might be important to preserve the places where battles happened?
With a view to trying our utmost to ensure history does not repeat itself, which unfortunately, and it invariably does. So these monuments are testament to the bravery, the significance, and the importance of never forgetting, and hopefully to God getting it out of our system that we have to club each other over the head to make a point, or to seize land that we feel is ours. You know, can't we all get along, people?
If I may, I think you state this with as much eloquence as Strong Vincent would.
Well, you're far too kind, Gary. Thank you.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I just that I'm so great to see the boys again. It's a bit like a high school reunion, where you go, is that? That isn't. Hey, I thought it was you. 30 years later, but no, we're getting some fantastic hospitality while we're here, and I look forward to another reunion and another celebration of what is known as the greatest battle in the history of of all American wars, as far as I understand. Certainly, yes. The 19th century ones, and I'm very proud of the association.
Good. Well, thanks so much for joining us. This has been just
great.
We really appreciate it. Remember, this is private property. Please don't come out. But when Little Round Top opens again, please go out to the real Little Round Top and remember Strong Vincent.
Yeah, do. Find his statue. It's pretty impressive.
Hello, this is Trace Atkins. To stay up to date on all the latest and coolest videos, please subscribe to the Trust YouTube channel. Preserve, educate, inspire.